aquí transmitiendo.
Where is it? He's gonna show it.
I'm sorry, no, it's okay.
Okay,
It's
right,
okay.
that
It's
wall
okay.
that has the, like, the,
That is the western wall.
oh, okay, great.
Which
Thank
one
you.
is it?
It's that little wall right there between those two areas.
Estamos en la ciudad de Jerusalén, mirando los castillos. Conéctense. Estaré grabando más. ¿Qué tal, Husky? Mirándolas. Dentro de una hora estaré grabando. Entre una hora estaré grabando la crucifixión de Cristo y unos que otros más eventos. So, ¿quieren verlo? Mírenlo. No hay más. ¿Qué encontraste, Kayla?
Buy one, get two free.
Mucho, pero lo voy a comprar después.
¿Mucho?
Buy one.
It's good.
Está abierto.
It's good. It's good. Miren qué barbaridad. Aquí nomás, miren.
You got to take our glasses
Está
off.
bueno. Nomás, miren. Las pulseras, los collares. Ahorita les mostraré más. Aquí estoy en Orlando, Florida. Goodbye.
Shalom. Good morning. Afternoon, I guess. Good afternoon. Welcome to the tour of the Jerusalem model. My name is Scott. I'm going to be your tour guide this afternoon, so welcome. All right. So, what you see right here is a model that represents the city of Jerusalem as it may have looked in the year 66 AD. Yes, that is 30-something years after Christ, but that year is significant for two main reasons. First of all, in the year 66, the population of Jerusalem would find its peak, with estimates ranging from 40,000 to some estimates being upwards of 80,000 people living in this space that from south to north is a mile long, and from west to east is only about 2/3 of a mile wide. So the city itself is less than 1 square mile. Still, some estimates are upwards of 80,000 people in that space at that time. I'm going to go with 60,000 for the sake of the tour. The other reason why the year 66 is so significant is that in that year, the Israelites rose up, they revolted, they kicked their Roman overlords out of the city, Judea. This would be a huge victory in the year 66. 4 years later, it would turn out to be a devastating loss, as Rome would return with a vengeance. The loss of life would be astounding, and every single structure that you see here in this model, save for only two, would be completely destroyed, just razed to the ground. And I will get to what those two main structures were towards the end of the tour. Now the whole tour is going to last about 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to start right here at the temple. I'm going to cover some history of the temple. Then I'm going to talk about some of the features you see inside the temple complex. Once I'm finished there, I'm going to work my way around the model. So if you guys want to see best, then you're back to what you're doing. Come right on up to the model and look on in over the side. General rule of thumb, go into the light as much as you can. So wherever the here, over here, whatever, just go into the light. Also, if you have any questions, save them for the end of the tour. I will take some questions once I wrap up. So, starting out with some history of the temple. The first thing I want to point out is that what you see right here, this is not Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple was built about 1,000 years before Christ. It was beautiful and magnificent, and it stood for approximately 400 years. Then, along comes a man named King Nebuchadnezzar and his armies. They come into town, they destroy Solomon's temple, and they bring the Israelites into captivity way over into Babylon, what's now modern-day Iran, Iraq, about 700 miles to the east. They spend 70 years in captivity. Eventually, under King Cyrus the Great, they are allowed to return home because Cyrus was good to them. When they return, they build another temple. That temple's known as Zerubbabel's temple. And Zerubbabel's temple was vastly inferior to Solomon's. In fact, it's said that when the elders of the community that remembered Solomon's temple from their childhood, when they saw Zerubbabel's temple unveiled, they wept and tore their clothes. It was that far inferior. Zerubbabel's temple would stand for another 400 years. Then, along comes a man named King Herod the Great, and we get up close to the New Testament. Now, Herod was known as the Great because he was a great architect, a great builder, and he was a great city planner. He was not known as King Herod the Great died, partially because he was a bloody tyrant who killed lots of people, including his favorite wife, but he wanted to look like a good guy. So what Herod decides to do is to build the Israelites a center of worship that they can be proud of. On top of Zerubbabel's temple, he builds what you see right here. Construction on this temple would start around 20 BC. It dies just about the time Jesus is born, around 4 BC. Then Herod Antipas will eventually take over after that. Construction on around 80 years, making it completed with all the bells and whistles in the early 60s, just in time to be destroyed by Rome in 70 AD. So, some things I'm going to point out inside the temple complex. First of all, this outer court, all the way out here. That outer court is called the Court of the Gentiles. It's named that because anyone was welcome to be in the Court of the Gentiles. But only if you were Jewish would you ever pass this gray barrier right here. That gray barrier is called the Soreg. And the Soreg had on it signs that in 2 or 4 different languages would have explicitly told you, you shall not pass. Because if you went past the Soreg and you were not of the Jewish faith, you could be put to death. They obviously took this very seriously. Moving into this court here, we have the Court of the Women. It's named that because men or women of the Jewish faith were welcome to be in this court. Moving up these stairs, you'll see the Nicanor Gate. You could leave your sacrifice with the priest here at the Nicanor Gate, and the priest would continue on with that sacrifice into the court of the priests, or the court of the Kohanim. 2 things in that court. First of all, this large stone structure right here. That stone structure is called the altar of the sacrifice.